Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you've been following my latest videos on the candidates matches. It's been a whole lot of fun sharing some chess history with you. Uh, you know, Especially about these players, man. These players get forgotten, as time goes on. And I like talking about these guys like Geller, Keres, even the lesser lights of today, like Alexei Dreyev, great players, that it's great stories in chess. I think that's one of the beautiful things about chess is the anecdotes, man, and stories. And the history is just fascinating. Like Smyslov and Hubner deciding the candidates match with the roulette wheel. It's absolutely incredible. Um, but here's a position uh, from the New York Open in 1989 with the white pieces with Sofia Polgar, the youngest of the Sofia Polgar, the youngest of the Polgar sisters, who was rated about 2,300 at the time, and with the black pieces Maurice Ashley, and it's pretty equal. White has this isolated pawn, but it's Polgar really can't make any progress here without giving up material. So for example, just for argument sake, if Rook F6, it would be a total error because of just Queen takes F6, and the game would be over. So um, it's hard to see how White could possibly make any real progress, although White does have an extra pawn on the Queen side. These heavy pieces is really dangerous to try to undertake anything. And if you see this position, the notice rather, Maurice has the black pieces, is threatening to win the e pawn, right? And threatening to win the a2 pawn. So gaining material is not a question. So for instance, after b3 protecting a2, simply queen takes e5, and you could call it a day here. Same thing with the move b4. Queen takes e5, and we could call it a day as the rook ending will be certainly drawn. So here, Paul decides to lay a bit of a trap in the position and plays the move Queen f3. Now, who knows if there was time pressure involved, but nevertheless, Queen f3. And of course, now the e pawn is indirectly defended because of Queen takes f7 check, King h8, and then b4, whereby Polgar has an advantage now, being up an extra pawn uh, with the exposed king and this 2-1 majority on the queen side. So after queen f3, Maurice decides to restore material equality here. Now, an important lesson I always repeat in my videos is a quote attributed to Capablanca, where he says, when evaluating positions, position first, then material. So anytime you're about to grab some material, think about the impact that it's going to have on the position as a whole. So here, more prudent is to maintain the status quo, understanding that the rook ending and this heavy piece ending will be drawn. A move like rook e7 is maintaining the piece, not being in a rush to grab material, right, is the most prudent course of action. So for instance, this trade of queens right here, black has to be very careful because of the mating themes, right? But even so, after rook e2, black. So black achieves adequate counterplay, although black must be careful, of course, with the pawn on f6. But for instance, after let's just make a mating attempt here. Black could just play h5 and be just fine. And then after a3 or b3, black regains material due to the activity of the rook, and white, for his part, has to be careful of the king on h1 that he not get mated. Okay, so again, material comes second. Position is always to be regarded as first. So queen f3, there's some poison in this move. Again, queen takes a2 was the path chosen by Maurice, right? Why not? After all, he gets the a pawn, and he keeps an eye on f7. So what could be the downside of this? But Sofia, coming from that tactical background, sets a nice trap. So after queen takes a2, cuts Maurice's queen off with the move b3, and now f7 is unguarded. Now what? So rook e7. Perhaps this is what Maurice has saw if he did see this continuation. That now the seventh rank is adequately protected, and he's gotten the pawn. And he only needs a move or so to get his queen back into the fray. However, e6, putting more pressure on the pawn. So, of course, not rook takes f6. Excuse me, not rook takes e6. Because queen takes f7 check. And if f takes e6, then queen f8 mates. So Maurice played the only move available, which is f5. However, f5 weakens the queen, the king's safety position, right? And now that passed pawn is a killer. Queen d5. Maurice plays queen a3, desperately trying to coordinate his pieces. And Polgar just keeps putting on the pressure. g4, attacking the king side, wanting to open up the position. f4. Of course, if rook takes f4, black will just be winning. After queen c1 check. You have to always watch out for the tricks. However, queen d8 check, driving the king away. King g7, queen d4 check, king g8, and queen takes f4, just snaps off the pawn and refutes Ashley's idea, and simultaneously threatens mate on f8. What to do about it? The rook moves over to b7, and now queen c4 with deadly consequences. Okay, this pawn now is immune. Let's look at it. Queen takes b3, mate in 2 after queen c8 check. King g7, and we had the same pattern. Therefore, after queen c4, king g7 is made. It's played, I'm sorry, in order to avoid this. However, jumping out of the pot right into the fire, queen c3, check, king h6, and the story is this: the king's position is just too wide open in order to survive this attack with these heavy pieces on the board. g5 is a nice move. At this point, you could get slick and play a move like rook f5 here, with the idea being that if g takes f5, then queen f6 mates. Anyway, g5 check, and after king g5, and just simply queen e3, and Maurice resigned. So I hope you enjoyed that little tactical demonstration here, and just be careful in positions that look pretty equal. because there's a lot of times there's some poison